Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to be here with you Saturday afternoon. It is 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I'm here in my lovely Brooklyn apartment. We've got a lot of great things we can talk about this afternoon. A lot is happening in the world. I'm really glad to be here with you. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell. Let's do it.
The American century. I say that the century on which we are entering can be and must be the century of the common man.
A radical redistribution of economic power.
I mean, we know that racism is a byproduct of capitalism. Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people.
We need a government that will make sure Americans are taken care of and organize the economy to serve the people, not the profits of a wealthy few.
We now have the techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty.
We got to start getting out there with the people.
Get out of the movement and get to the masses.
We need a government of action.
Welcome, 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 everybody. So glad that we're here having yet another afternoon conversation. Should be a good chat. So if you got anything you want me to respond to, send me a super chat. Rockfin tips are appreciated on the Rockfin. Rumble rants are appreciated on the Rumble. Super chats here are appreciated on YouTube. And the way this works is I give my opening remarks, whatever it is I want to talk about. Then from there, we do a roll call. We find out who's on the other side of the camera. And then from there, after the opening remarks and after the roll call, that is when I answer your super chat questions. So if you got something you want me to talk about, send it in a Rumble rant and send it in a super chat. So I thought today, since there's a lot going on, people are in the streets of Washington, D.C. and around the country supporting the Palestinians. We have people in the streets at the Black is Back annual march. We've got the Center for Political Innovation supporting the Uhuru movement, standing in solidarity with the Uhuru movement, which is a very, very important development. And we got a lot of different things happening. So I thought I would start out today's stream, just kind of get us going, by playing one of my favorite pieces from Beethoven, which is from his Sixth Symphony, his Pastoral Symphony, the symphony he wrote that was dedicated to the peasantry. This is the shepherd's song, the triumphant shepherd's song from the Sixth Symphony of Beethoven, the one dedicated to the revolutionary peasantry of Germany that was fighting against feudalism, etc. So I'm going to put that on. We'll start out with that, and then I'll get into my opening remarks. right, everybody. Glad to be here. And one of the things that makes this community and these streams that we do so important and so special is that in all things we do, we strive to remain optimistic. We strive to give each other hope. We strive to point to what is good rather than simply what is bad. We view our revolutionary message as obligating us to take up history's challenge, as obligating us to try and awaken our fellow human beings, our classmates at school, our coworkers on the job, our neighbors, our friends, our acquaintances. It is our obligation to awaken humanity, to make humanity aware of its uniqueness, and to inspire people to more and more become aware of who and what they are, and to use that power to create a better life for their children, and for their children's children, and for their children's children's children. And that this is what it means to be truly human. Ants have been building their ant farms the same way for thousands of years. Beavers have been making their beaver dams the same way for thousands and thousands of years. But in just a short time, humanity has gone from cave-dwelling people, hunter-gatherers in the woods, to space travel, to iPhones, to 3D printers. What humanity is capable of is something unique and special. And those who would try to tell you that human beings are just another animal, just another part of the animal kingdom, they are wrong. The animals simply interact with their environment. But man, humanity, by his very nature, forces the environment to serve him. And through doing so, is enabled to reinvent his relationship with his environment, and to strive toward a higher plane, to strive for a higher life expectancy, to strive for a greater population, to strive for a more comfortable and meaningful life, to strive for greater knowledge and understanding, This is what it means to be human. And this is something that no animal is capable of doing. There is something unique and special about humanity. And when forces try to deny this and try to convince us that we are not special, that there is nothing unique about humanity, they are seeking to erode the hope within us. They are seeking to erase our optimism. And that is something we at the Center for Political Innovation oppose. And though we are greatly critical and filled with anger and outrage about the conditions of the world, in all things that we do, we strive to remain optimistic. We strive to remain hopeful. We strive to project an understanding that tomorrow can be better than today in all things that we do. Because our job is not to make you angry. Our job is not to make you hateful. Our job is not to make you feel more alienated. Our job is to give you a place in this unforgiving, isolating, cold world where you can feel that you belong and where you can make a contribution and where your humanity can come out. Our job is to unleash your humanness, unleash your creativity, unleash your ability to assert your humanity against so much injustice and against so much hardship. Our effort is to help you find a way to make a contribution to history. That is our effort. That is what we are striving to do. And that's why we're happy that so many people are out in the streets right now supporting the Palestinians. We see the evil things that are being done by Israel, the bombing of hospitals, the murder of children. And it makes us happy and it fills us with joy that so many people feel obligated to oppose it, even when an atmosphere has been created that says going out in the streets to support Palestine makes you a terrorist, that says that going out in the streets to support Palestine makes you anti-Semitic. The fact that thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are in the streets to support the Palestinians right now is a great thing. And we are in the streets today. You'll find CPI members in Chicago marching in the streets. You'll find CPI members in Washington, D.C. And I have to mention, there's a very, very special, important demonstration going on right now. The Black is Back Coalition is having a national march to support the Uhuru movement, to oppose the FBI repression that is being rained down on a group of Black revolutionaries. And we are honored that John McCarthy, a representative of our organization, has been selected to be one of the speakers at the rally. John McCarthy is a dedicated member of the Center for Political Innovation. And he is speaking at the rally in Washington, D.C. today as our representative, giving our message of solidarity with the People's Democratic Uhuru movement. And we're honored that he's there. And we are honored that they consider our support essential. And we call on everyone who is opposed to the emerging police state in America to stand with Chairman O'Malley, to stand with Jesse Neville, to stand with Jenny Hess, and to oppose the indictment from the federal government that is being rained down and threatening the lives of a group of Black revolutionary activists. We call on all people who say that they are opposed to racism, opposed to the emerging police state, opposed to the attacks on freedom of speech and freedom of assembly that are coming. We call on all of them to do all that they can to support the People's Democratic Uhuru movement, to say hands off the Uhuru 3. We say now is the time to raise your voice. That the federal government does not have the right to imprison a group of activists. We should be very clear about why they are targeting Chairman O'Malley, why they're targeting Penny Hess, why they're targeting Jesse Neville. They are targeting because they are builders, because they are building. If all they did was tear down, if all they did was deconstruct, if they were a group of vandals, the U.S. media would have no problem with them. The mainstream elite would have no problem with them. The reason they are targeting these Black revolutionaries is because they are builders. They've fed people in their community. They've housed people in their community. They've created farmers markets. They've created services for pregnant mothers. They are a group of builders with their ideology and their perspective of African internationalism. They have felt it is their obligation to provide services in the Black community while teaching their anti-colonial and anti-imperialist ideology. Now, their worldview is separate from our worldview. Their understanding of Marxism and socialism is different from our understanding of Marxism and socialism. But they are not being targeted because of their differences with me or because of their differences with others. They are being targeted because they are anti-imperialists, because they stand with Russia, and they are being targeted because of the fact that they are doing the work that must be done and building a base in the Black community and providing the services that need to be built. And that is why it is our absolute duty to stand with the Uhuru movement. Demand that all charges against them be dropped immediately. Demand that the U.S. Department of Justice leave them alone. Let them continue their great work in the Black community. No indictment. No federal charges. Free the Uhuru 3. Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Chairman O'Malley. And for those who may not yet be familiar with the case, I will show a clip. I believe I've shown it on these streams before. I'll show it again, explaining the basics. U.S. media kind of forgot about those communities. Well, Uhuru, they went out there because they saw Black and brown people like themselves that were out there protesting and rioting.
And they stayed there, and they've been there since 2014, providing services in the community, giving these young people in the community something constructive to do, not just go out and break shit to raise awareness about the conditions they're in, but ways to actually feed people and serve the community. And they've been there in St. Louis since 2014 doing constructive work. They have really escalated these programs. They have a farmer's market. They provide classes and services to pregnant mothers, and in particular in St. Louis, Missouri, and in St. Petersburg, Florida. They're trying to undo the damage that the U.S. Department of Justice and the state police and the local police and all the forces have been doing in communities like Ferguson, Missouri. And at the same time that they've done this community work, the African People's Socialist Party has also taken a firm anti-imperialist stance. They support China. They support Russia. They support Cuba. They support Iran. And when the United States started piling weapons into Kiev, they defended Russia's right to intervene.
This defensive war in Ukraine that Russia is actually waging against world colonial powers, not Ukraine as a single entity, but the U.S. and all colonial powers who have an interest in colonially dominating African people right here in this country and around the world and extracting resources from the majority of peoples on the planet. That system, this current system, is in severe crisis, and they cannot rule in the same old way.
Because of that, their homes were raided. Then months later, the federal government came out with an indictment, and it's charging them with being Russian agents. And it's trying to allege that the election campaign that they ran in St. Petersburg, Florida, was somehow interference in the U.S. electoral process.
4 activists associated with the People's Democratic Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party have been indicted by the U.S. Department of Justice. The indictment from the U.S. Department of Justice accuses them of spreading Russian propaganda and cites simply some web conferences that they had, some Zoom meetings, some emails they sent out, as well as the fact that they have run routine election campaigns. Is this of concern to the Secretary General as an attack on human rights, freedom of assembly, etc.?
I frankly was not aware of the case before you mentioned it. Let me look into it, and I will get back to you.
What's going on in Africa is directly connected to what's going on here. What's going on in Ukraine is connected to what's going on in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? It's an international, global economy that's all connected.
Because they go to conferences in Russia, this constitutes Russian meddling in the elections. The whole thing is ridiculous. It's completely, utterly ridiculous. They've been running these campaigns for years, since before I was born. Back in the 1970s, they were running people for office. Their platform of reparations, I mean, Marianne Williamson, she's a major Democrat candidate. She also says she believes in reparations. I mean, it's not a unique message that they have in that sense, but they have been targeted because they're doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, you know, at all of our meetings, we have a picture of Fred Hampton up on the stage because Fred Hampton, he built a free breakfast program. He organized what he called a rainbow coalition, uniting low-income people, white, black, brown, Arab, Latino, into one organization, you know, trying to build up community empowerment, trying to do community service projects while teaching Marxism and socialism. You know, we look at Fred Hampton as a great example of the American revolutionary tradition. And, you know, the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement, you know, they don't like that we wave the American flag. They don't like that we consider ourselves patriotic. They have their own kind of unique analysis. They talk about what they call the colonial mode of production. That's not traditional Marxist thinking. And we don't agree with them on a number of issues. But it doesn't matter. We support them.
We all have to stand up and oppose the ideology of division and support an ideology of unity based upon our material interests, you know what I'm saying, to work together.
People who can't understand that, people who can't get past, you know, this or that, like, we got to put aside our differences and say that if they come for them, they come for all of us. If they go after them, they got to deal with all of us. That needs to be the attitude among anti-imperialists.
Yes, that case is so important. And that's why seeing an image like this and seeing that we are in Washington, D.C., standing with Uhuru, that's why it makes me very, very happy. We will stand with Uhuru. We will always stand with people who are oppressed, with people who are under attack. We will never side with the American government. We will never stand by and let people that are being attacked for their anti-imperialist work or their solidarity with oppressed countries around the world. We'll never stand back and let them go to prison. The Uhuru case is an essential case, and we support the Uhuru movement, and we have their back 100%. But I must say that the reason that we are in a crisis right now, the reason that the ruling class cannot continue to rule in the old way, the reason that people all over the world are angry and in motion is because of the breakdown of the capitalist system. Under capitalism, your only value is your ability to sell yourself to a boss, to rent yourself out, to sell your labor power as a commodity. And the role of technology in capitalism is to reduce the amount of human labor that is required in the process of production. And you would think that would be a good thing. In a rational society, self-driving cars would be amazing. But under capitalism, self-driving cars, which are not that far away, will lead to mass unemployment, hunger, riots in the streets. This is not rational. People shouldn't get poorer because our ability to create wealth becomes more efficient. Poverty should not be created by abundance. People should not be homeless because there is too much food. People should not be hungry because there is too much food. People should not be homeless because there are too many houses. The capitalist system that puts profits over people, in which production is carried out simply in the interests of making profits for those who own the centers of economic power, the capitalist system is breaking down because the productivity of human beings and the creativity of human beings and the ability of human beings to reinvent the nature of their relationship with the environment has exceeded the narrow restraints of the profit system. Production for profit cannot handle artificial intelligence. Production for profit cannot handle 3D printers. Production for profit cannot handle the computer revolution. Humanity and our ability to expand can no longer be restrained by the irrationality of a system guided by the chaos of the market and the drive of private owners to accumulate more profits for themselves. And we have entered a period where it is historical necessity that the banks and the factories and the major centers of economic power that are functioning more efficiently than ever before, but using fewer and fewer workers in the process of production, it is essential that they become the property of we the people. Society must control the means of production. We must organize the economy to serve public good and not the profits of a wealthy few. This is the urgency of the moment. And as capitalism is breaking down, the capitalists fight with each other. The ultra-monopolistic corporations battle against each other. They struggle for control of the state. They struggle for control of markets. But they know that their system cannot withstand the crisis that is coming. And the poison that they now put out, that they circulate in the hopes of stabilizing their system, the poison that they are disseminating among the population, it has a name. And that name is degrowth. Degrowth is the poison they are using to try and stabilize their system. Degrowth. That is their hope. They see that there are millions of people who have no more place at the assembly line. They see there are millions of people who they can't employ in their factories. They've got no place for them. And they think the only hope is culling the herd, eliminating them, reducing consumption, driving down living standards, reducing the population. That is the only solution that they can think of to save their system. Pessimism, hopelessness. That's all they've got. That is all they have. Instead of admitting that the problem is their system and the problem is the irrational organization of the capitalist system and the drive to make profits, they say the problem is that there's just too many of us. There's too many of us. We have breeded too much. We eat too much. We live too comfortable of a lifestyle. There's too many of us, they say. And we have just got to be eliminated. We've just got to be rolled back. We've just got to be gotten rid of to save their system. This is called Malthusianism. They view us all as a bunch of useless eaters. And their agenda is gradually eliminating us, gradually driving down the population. And don't let the defenders of degrowth fool you. Every time I criticize degrowth, there are people who come on and say, well, Caleb, don't you know, a degrowth just means working from home. That's what degrowth is. It means you work from home instead of driving to work every day and burning fossil fuels. No. Wrong. The fact that technology has advanced so much that I can work from home, that with my phone and with my computer, I can work from home and I don't have to get in a car and go all the way to work to do my job. That is not degrowth, my friend. That's called growth. That's the elimination of human labor. That's technological advancement. That makes things more efficient. That is not degrowth. Working from home is not degrowth. People say, well, degrowth, Caleb, just means eating healthier and not eating food that's got full of preservative. No, it's not. Eating in a way that makes me stronger and makes my body more physically fit. eating in a way that gives me more energy so that I can be more productive, more creative, and come up with things. That is not degrowth. That is not degrowth. Anything that we do that is advancing technology, that is advancing human productivity, that is advancing human health and advancing human living standards, making life better, making human beings more productive, is not degrowth. Degrowth says life is the problem. That is what degrowth is. Degrowth is an anti-human message that says we are the problem and we need to be eliminated. And I will never embrace that message. I'm not the problem. You are not the problem. Capitalism is the problem. Imperialism is the problem. The problem is that humanity has outstripped the narrow confines of the profit system. This is just like 7,000 or 8,000 years ago when we got too good at hunting and gathering. We've been hunting and gathering for a long time, but we figured out how to hunt and gather much more effectively. We developed spears and sticks and rocks, and we were hunting ever before. We were hunting very, very effectively, and there was a scarcity of animals. We got so good at gathering. We paid attention to the way the plants and the plant life was growing, and we got so good at gathering, there was a scarcity. And because we were so good at what we do, it became necessary to revolutionize the means of production. We had to move toward a higher mode of production. We got so good at hunting, we got so good at gathering that hunter-gatherer civilization was unsustainable. And so we started growing our own food. And so we started domesticating animals. That was a social revolution. That was the rise of a new mode of production. And that is what we are facing right now. We are too good at production. We are so good at making things, at making iPhones and iPads and boots and iPhones and books and commodities. And we are so good at making stuff that our ability to produce wealth has exceeded the narrow confines of the profit system. And we can't look backward. We can only look forward. And the crisis that we currently face calls out desperately for human wealth and human creativity to be unleashed by the rational organizing of the means of production. I didn't invent this. What I'm telling you right now, these are not new ideas. This isn't something I just thought up. Go and read The Future is Up to Us by Nelson Peary. Brilliant Marxist writer. He said the same thing that I'm saying right now. Go and read Low Wage Capitalism by Fred Goldstein. He says the same thing I'm saying right now. Go and read High Tech Low Pay by Sam Marcy. Go and read the Communist Manifesto. Go and read the Communist Manifesto. You'll find the pages of the Communist Manifesto say exactly what I'm saying right here. This has been the message of socialists since the dawn of capitalism. People shouldn't be hungry because too much wealth has been produced. We need rational organization of the means of production. We need public ownership. And that's what socialism is. And socialism isn't the government giving people free stuff. Socialism isn't an employee stock ownership program or some worker cooperative scheme. Socialism is overcoming the irrational organization of the means of production and having the banks and the factories and the industries and the centers of economic power organized to serve public good and not the profits of a few. That's what socialism is. And socialism made the Soviet Union into a superpower that defeated the Nazis, that invented space travel, that wiped out illiteracy, that industrialized whole big swaths of the earth. Socialism has made China the richest country in the world, the second largest economy in the world, built the world's largest hydroelectrical power plants, makes half the world's steel. Socialism has been very, very successful as a system. By overcoming the irrationality of the market, human beings are capable of great, great things. That doesn't mean there haven't been mistakes. That doesn't mean there haven't been times that people's rights have been violated or people have been mistreated. But socialism in its essence, overcoming the irrationality of the capitalist system, enabling wealth and living standards to continue to rise without the irrationality of capitalism, that has largely been successful, and there is no question about it. You know, we have an educational manual. We are City Builders, the Center for Political Innovation Educational Manual. And this book that we published, right, we use it in our CPI classes, right? I think everyone who comes to our workshop, I believe, is going to get one if they come to the weekend workshop that we're doing in Portland coming up. But this educational manual, the CPI educational manual, right? There's an opening essay written by me, The City Builders and Vandals in Our Age. And then from there, we have a number of different pieces explaining this. We have The Malady by Moishe Olgan. We have The Parable of the Water Tank by Edward Bellamy. We have Why Socialism by Albert Einstein. We have quotes from the Communist Manifesto, from Mao, from Franklin Roosevelt, from Henry Wallace. And this textbook that we put together is designed to get this message out there, to get people to understand why socialism is better than capitalism, to get this message out there and get people to understand why capitalism and imperialism are connected, why the system we live under today isn't just ordinary capitalism, it's imperialism. And this book is designed for you to use it to preach in your neighborhood and in your community. It's designed so that you can give classes with it. You can lead discussions with it. That's what this book is designed for. This is the Center for Political Innovation Educational Manual. And we have used it, and there's discussion questions at the end of every selection, every chapter. There's discussion questions. But it's out there so that we can start raising this consciousness among the population. Why is capitalism the problem? What is the nature of capitalism? Has socialism been successful? What does it mean for us in our time? What do we need to do? That's why we put this out there. This book is an organizing tool. It's for you to organize classes and discussion groups with your friends and your coworkers, and to bring people into this understanding of capitalism and imperialism and why we're in the crisis that we're in. That's why we put it out there. That's a textbook. It's a book that's not just designed for you to read and enjoy it, and I'm really glad you like it. West Coast Socialist, he really likes it. I'm really glad you like it. But that book, you should get 4 or 5 copies of it and start a reading group with your friends and discuss it as a group. Maybe post the discussions that you do online. Maybe not. But that book is there to raise people's consciousness. Folks, the only way forward is we've got to start winning over people who would never go looking for this. We've got to start winning over people who would never in a million years stumble on a YouTube channel like this one. People who never in a million years would be going to socialist events or Palestine rallies. We need average people who are just living their lives, who are wrangling with, why can't I pay my bills? Why is it so hard to feed my kids and clothe my kids? Why is it so hard? And why is the government lying to us over and over and over again? Why are they always getting us into wars? That's who we need to be reaching. The average Americans who don't want violence. They don't want violence in their community. They don't want shootings. They don't want civil war. They don't want chaos. They want stability. And they're sitting there, and every paycheck they have goes out the window as soon as they get it. They're behind on their bills. They're struggling. They've got debt. And they're saying, why are we being squeezed this way? Why is it so hard to live? Why is it so hard to raise a family? Why? Why can't there just be stability in our neighborhoods? Why can't there just be peace in our communities? Why are we being squeezed like this? Why? That's who we need to be speaking to. That is who we need to get to. We need to get out of the movement and to the masses. We need to get out of the movement and to the masses. And it's happening right now. It's happening. All right? So we're having a conference in Portland. I've told you all about it. It's a great conference that's happening. Right? December 2nd, we're having an anti-imperialist all-day mega rally. It's happening in Portland, Oregon. December 2nd. Be there. Don't miss it. It's going to be tremendous. But there's something special about this rally. Something very, very, very special about this rally, which is that all around Portland, we're inviting people to come. I want to show you what's happening. These are door knockers. Thousands and thousands of, no, I'm sorry. Let me start again. Hundreds of people, not thousands. Hundreds. Between now and December 1st and 2nd, hundreds of people are going to wake up in the morning to find one of those hanging on their doorknob, inviting them to our conference. Posters are going to be put up. Palm cards are going to be distributed. We are trying our best to get around the algorithm, to get around this social media rigging. We are trying our best to get to people that would never go looking for this kind of message. We're doing outreach. We're doing real outreach in real communities to reach people who are not part of our social media bubble, to reach people that are not part of the dissident communities that they're trying to manage. We're trying to get to average people, to give them a message that they've never heard before, to invite them to an all-day anti-imperialist mega rally and conference. We're doing it. We have a conference coming up, a national conference of the Center for Political Innovation. And we are trying our hardest to get it full of new people, people who've never heard this kind of message, people who have no idea why anyone would be against capitalism, why anyone would support Russia or China, why anyone would call themselves an anti-imperialist or a socialist. We are trying to get to the masses right now. We are trying to get to the masses of people. There are millions of Americans who are desperately longing to hear this message, and we have to get to them. We have to get to them. We have to reach them with this message. We have to do it. We have to do it. We need to go out of the movement to the masses. We need to win people over. We need to learn to have the kind of conversations that change people's lives. I remember conversations I had with people that changed my life. I don't know about you. I remember when I was a young child, maybe an older. I was not adolescent yet, but I was a young child. I remember that there was a guy. I was at a church gathering at somebody's house. There was a guy in my in the community who worked at Frito-Lay. He worked at the Frito-Lay plant back in Wayne County, Ohio, where I lived. And he talked about how whenever he and his coworkers at Frito-Lay were on strike, the police were always on top of them and writing people tickets, and the police were coming down on them when they were on strike. And how it was pretty clear that the police were on the side of the Frito-Lay company against the workers on the picket line. And I remember sitting there in the living room at this church gathering and hearing this guy who lived in my neighborhood who worked at Frito-Lay talking about how a couple of years ago when they had a strike, it seemed like the cops were on the side of the company and against the workers, and how angry he was about this, and how they were, when workers would drive to go to the picket line, the police would write them tickets and claim they were speeding. This, you might hear this and think, oh, well, this is the most basic message. The most basic message, Caleb. Well, duh, this capitalist state supports the capitalists, not the workers. But it was a very, very important conversation in my development. People didn't talk about communism in the neighborhood I grew up in. There wasn't Marxist understanding, but I remember hearing this young guy, or this older guy, I guess, middle-aged guy, talk about how angry he was about the fact that the police were basically functioning as strike breakers to hurt him and his fellow workers at Frito-Lay. I remember hearing that conversation when I was a kid, and that got me thinking. And you never know the impact that a conversation might have. You never know. I've had people who thought I was crazy, who dismissed everything I said, reach out to me 5, 6 years later, 10, 15 years later, and say, Caleb, you were right. Caleb, I had no idea how right you were. I dismissed you. I thought what you said was crazy. And then 10, 15 years down the road, I saw something and it awakened me. You never know. By planting the intellectual seeds, you can awaken people. And folks, I want to tell you that's why, and I don't see any super chats. So no one's asking me any super chats. No one's got me anything to talk about. So this afternoon stream might end pretty soon. I might have to just wait. I'm going to be on tonight at 10 p.m., of course. But I want to tell you, I got a crazy idea last night. I don't know if we'll be able to do it or not. I was Googling and I couldn't even find the addresses to send it to. I got a crazy idea last night about this, about the importance of educating people, about the importance of reaching people when they can listen to you. I got a crazy idea. Maybe it's crazy. Maybe it's not doable. Maybe it's a bad idea, but I think it's doable. It's not something we have to do immediately. We got plenty of time to do it. I want to send a copy of this book, Where is America Going? Marxism, MAGA, and the Coming Revolution. I want to send one of these to every single one of the January 6th prisoners. Is this possible? Is this something we can do? I don't know. I Googled addresses of January 6th prisoners in federal prison, couldn't find anything. But I feel like, there's at least 115 people in federal prison for participating in January 6th. And prisoners have a lot of time to read. They have a lot of time to read. And this book is written in a way that it's not designed to be hostile to them. They might be put off by it, but they might be intrigued by it. I want to send one of these to every single one of the January 6th inmates. Every single one. I don't know how I can do this because I can't. I heard there was somebody I was talking to the other day who said that they heard that somebody was able to write letters. There's people who write letters to January 6th inmates. Well, if anyone knows how they can help me with this, I want to send one of these books to every January 6th inmate because I know people who've been in prison. And they say if you give a book to a prisoner, you're not just giving it to one prisoner, you're giving it to a whole cell block. And prisoners, they have a lot of time on their hands. They have a lot of time on their hands. And they don't have iPhones, and they don't have iPads, and they don't have computers, and they read a lot. And I want every single one of the January 6th prisoners to have the opportunity, even if they think it's bull honky, even if they think it's malarkey, even if they think it's idiocy, I want every single one of the January 6th prisoners to take a look at this book, to at least give this a chance. These are guys who believed in Donald Trump. These are guys who believed in Donald Trump so much they went into the Capitol and they got arrested for it. Well, they might think I'm a dirty red communist. They might think I'm a traitor to the country. They might think I'm un-American or whatever. I want all of the January 6th inmates to have the opportunity to read this book, to give it a chance. And I feel like they have the time. They're sitting there in prison. They don't have much going on. I want every single one of the January 6th inmates to at least have the chance to crack this book open and hear our side of the story, our analysis of what happened. That's what I want to do. Now, I don't know. Maybe with this cover, it'll be banned. I don't know what federal prison regulations are about books. I have no idea how I can pull this off, but it's an idea I had last night, and I can't get it out of my head. I want January 6th inmates reading my book, Where is America Going? And hearing about the problem of overproduction, and hearing about Bonapartism and divisions in the ruling class, and hearing about the need to form an anti-monopoly coalition, and reading the timeline at the end of the transition from Jimmy Carter to Ronald Reagan and the divisions in the ruling class, reading the history of the socialist movement that I go over. I would like January 6th inmates to read this book. That's what I would like. So if anyone has any idea how I could do this, how I could send this book to January 6th prisoners, let me know. It may not be something that is possible, but I would like to figure it out. They're going to be in there a long time, it looks like, unless they get pardoned, unless Donald Trump gets in there and pardons them all. I really, really doubt that, this is urgent, right? They're going to be in there a while. But I figure, let's get this book to some prisoners. Let's get this book to the January 6th inmates. So if anyone has any idea how I could pull this off, how I could do this, let me know. Let me know. Please let me know. I would like this book to be read by January 6th political prisoners. I'd like them to read this book. So let me know if you have any ideas. If anyone can do the research and figure out, I was Googling last night. I couldn't even find how one would do this. And maybe we won't have the funds to do it yet, or maybe we won't have but we're going to figure it out. I know there's ways to send books to prisoners. There's certain procedures. A person can't send a book to a prisoner. It has to be a publishing company, is my understanding. One way or another, let's figure out how we can get this book into the hands of the January 6th inmates. I think that would be some noble outreach, that we can plant some intellectual seeds that may pay off down the road. That is my thinking. Folks, we need to get out of the movement and we need to get to the masses. people in the chat, I see what's going by and how they've made all these stupid hit piece videos against me that don't have any logical arguments. Look, the internet is tapped out. We've done a great thing here, right? But the internet's rigged against us, and despite that, we have built the foundations of our community. Our organization has survived many attacks, and we have built the foundations of an anti-imperialist community using the internet. As hard as it's been, we've done that. Now comes the harder part, because the whole point of our organization was to get out of the movement and to the masses. And now that we have a community of solid people. We're having a Zoom call today at 3 p.m. Every week we have 12, 13, 15, 18 people on our Zoom call every week. We've got 127 dues-paying members. We have the foundations of an anti-imperialist community. Now is the time that we need to do what that community was set up to, which is not to be an online community. It's to get to the masses, to get out of the movement and to the masses. That is what our community was set up to do, and that is what we need to do. And the internet is tapped out. We've recruited a lot of great people from the internet. We recruited some not so good people from the internet, and they all got out of here. They've been purged. Good riddance. We're glad. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Now we have the foundations of a real organizing community, a real anti-imperialist community, and now we need that community to become an outreach mechanism to get out of the movement and to the masses and to win people over. Right now, it feels like we're swimming upstream. We're swimming upstream. We're swimming against the current. But that's okay, because we're getting stronger. As we swim up against the current, we're getting stronger. We're getting stronger because we're swimming against the current. And that means that when things shift, it'll be so much easier, because we've spent all this time swimming against the current. We've built up that strength that when the water shifts and we're swimming with the current, we're going to speed forward. We're going to zoom forward at speed that people won't even be able to imagine, because we swam against the current, because we kept going when it's hard. We are having a hard time raising money for this conference, folks. I'm calling up every ally and every friend, and we've gotten some great gifts, and thank you to everyone who's given us great gifts, but we need more. We're trying to put together the funds to do this conference. It is not easy. We're trying to get together the people, get them all there to do this conference. It is not easy. Elizabeth Young is stressing out. She's working hard. I'm stressed. Other people, but we're finding our true friends. We're finding our strength. We're learning to do it. We're swimming against the current. We are swimming against the current. And we're building the solid foundations of an anti-imperialist community. And we're holding a group of people together. And we're maintaining the loyalty that will not be broken. Not by internet smears, not by government repression, not by egos, not by fragility. We are building a solid block of anti-imperialist community activism in America. We are building a group of people who can take this message to places that it would never be heard and win people over to it, who can develop and cultivate a brand of socialism that could actually take power here in America. We are doing it. It's not easy. It's not easy, and we need your help. We need your support. Sign up and register on the Eventbrite if you're going to be there in Portland. Please send us a donation to help us have the event. We urgently need to get funds together. I'm calling more people, and I've been stressing out about it, but we got stuff we got to get done. So please, if you can help us in any way, that would be great. We need you to step up and help us do this event in Portland. But it's happening. The Center for Political Innovation is marching forward. We are not backing down. We are not surrendering. We are moving forward. We are building our anti-imperialist community. We're doing it. We are doing it. We are doing it. We have an understanding. We have people in Washington, D.C. right now speaking in support of the Uhuru movement and raising awareness about what's happening to them. We're doing great stuff. We're going to keep doing great stuff. And we're turning this community into an outreach organization. That's what we're doing. So on that note, folks, I don't see any super chats. No one has any super chat questions. So I'm going to end this stream for now, but I'm going to put on, I'll put some music on, and then I'm going to end this stream. I'll be back tonight at 10 p.m. Got a Zoom call with my CPI comrades at 3 p.m. We have our national Zoom call every week. Got a lot of things to work on because we're doing it. We are doing it, and we're not backing down.
I'm gonna let it shine.